My name is Megan Nilsson, aka Crypto Megan, coming to you from Marbella, Spain. Today, I have a very special episode planned for you and a big announcement. We'll be doing episode number 2 with lead analyst from Capital Mindset Trading Group, Trip, who's going to take us through all of the most pressing questions at the moment, including how far could this Bitcoin correction go? How long will it last? When altcoin season, and some charts that are ready to explode, and a couple of gem picks, as well as all of the successful trades that we made last week as a group. It's really exciting. So without further ado, I'd like to bring Trip up. Trip, how's it going?
Hey, Megan. Doing pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Good to have you back for episode number 2. I know people got a lot of value out of the last episode. And now it's fun to be able to come back and see where we're at and see how those trades did and make our announcement. So I think before we do get into it, I will make that announcement now that I'm really, really excited and honored to become part owner and board member of the Capital Mindset Group. And I'm so excited to bring the value from my experience and my background and add that to your knowledge, Trip, and all of the board members and the incredibly talented admin, just the insights from my world tour and everything I can add as, now being part of the family. So we've got super exciting times ahead.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's a really good time to get started. I think the market's just about to take off. We've already seen a lot of these coins exploding. We're just waiting for the next signal from Bitcoin to tell us when it's go time again. The corrections that Bitcoin goes through has to happen. There's always going to be people taking profits. So we're waiting for the next local bottom, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. But before we get there, I want you guys, I've been following your charts for a while, Trip, and that was one of the things that really drew me to this group is how well you kind of lay everything out and paint the picture for us with your charts and they kind of tell a story about what's happening. And I'd love to go over a little bit about some strategy before we get into those topics and a few of our success stories. I know we've had a recent member that did very well. He just joined the leverage group and he did his first 10x. So that's super exciting to hear about.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I love it when new people join and it's instantly successful. We have a really good team. So, we're always teaching from the beginning for new people. And then there's always some new ideas coming out as well. If you've been in the group before, you still might see something you haven't seen. So yeah, it's really nice to see that success right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's kind of like now is the time. You apply yourself and you use these tools. You can learn so much and you can literally change your life from this. So it's super exciting to see that happening in real time and to be able to help people like this, with their journey and with their trading strategies and even investment strategies. I know a lot of people like myself, we're focused on more long-term to midterm holds. And I've been able to, help people along with your and the admin's charts by the bottom of patterns or learn when is a good entry, even for a midterm to long-term trade. So let's pull up a few of those successful trades and go over those real quick before we get into what's happening with Bitcoin now.
Okay, so this is XLM. This is one of the winners that we had. As you can see down here on the left side of the chart, we had a post for the breakout of this yellow trend line. That's this yellow trend line here. And as soon as it broke above the 200 MA and broke that trend line, we saw a gigantic move, one of the quickest movers I've seen in the market so far. We got about 382% printed on the chart, all ready for XLM. Now it's just cooling down a little bit. We'll see if we get a support retest here, and it could continue higher. The double bottom is easier to see over here, so potentially This has a lot more higher to go. This would be the first low, this would be your second low, and this ends up being the neckline. So if we measure that again from here, we could be looking at maybe double the price from here or 2x gains or so from here.
Right.
Let's see if I can get a good pull. So yeah, up to the 2, that would be your measured move at $1.26 for XLM.
Wow. And that's just the interim price, right? And this is a 3-day chart. So this massive double bottom has a more amplified effect than a lower time frame, correct?
Definitely, yeah. The higher time frame is just a bigger magnitude move. So that's just the basic way of looking at it is smaller time frames, smaller moves, larger time frames, larger moves. And if it's anything like it was the last cycle, like ADA. I wish I had a chart to show it. I forgot to bring the ADA chart. ADA on the log scale last cycle, if you measure the move on log scale, you actually hit way closer to the measured move of the actual end of that run than if you didn't use a log scale and you used a linear scale chart. So a log scale
Interesting.
chart's always massively bigger, right? So
Right. No, and
if
ADA had a
XLM,
massive run. I mean, that was one of the ones I was most successful in last cycle. Ended up doing a 65x on it. So I would love to see that log chart. Maybe we'll pull it up at the end here. But this XLM, I mean, you nailed it in the group because I actually ended up getting in this trade as well, around the 22-cent mark, off the buy, the breakout of that line there. And yeah, the rest is history. I mean, it's done over 100% since then. So this was posted in the group before these charts all kind of started going crazy, right?
right, yeah, this was about at least a week and a bit ago, I think now. But yeah, not too far away. It wasn't too long ago. This thing just went really quick. One of the
Right.
fastest movers I've seen. Kind of reminded me of the ape movement that we saw that time when ape had
Oh
its
yeah.
news. Mhm.
True.
So yeah, like we could be experiencing log scale size moves. So even though the target on this chart is at $1.24, it could be exponentially bigger. We really don't know
Wow.
yet. So it's exciting to think that we could be in that stage of the market where everything just goes bananas, as Raul would
Right.
say.
The bananas, then that's right. And we will talk about when that could start occurring. I mean, it's already started, but when the mania phase could be shortly here after we show the winners. But do you think it's a lot of people equate XRP and XLM to running together and that XLM is a certain ratio of XRP? Do you ever kind of equate those two moves or do you kind of like time the breakout of one because versus the other?
Yeah, usually one of them starts the rally, and even if it's XRP that starts it or if it's XLM that starts it, they do usually run in pairs no matter what. So
Right.
at the same time, we were actually posting the XRP setup first, and that's this chart that I've got on the screen now. This one did really well too since the break of this yellow trend line. That's up about 137%, but XLM did more than double that amount. So we always try to trade them both at the same time as soon as one starts the rally.
Right. And so XRP from here, I mean, I know there've been, including myself, have been looking at this and this has been coiled up for a very, very long time. Could you foresee, I mean, how would you go to higher time frame price predictions, like cycle predictions?
Cycle prediction? How would you mean?
Like by end of cycle where it could hit?
Oh, that's hard to imagine from here.
Mm,
Like the pullbacks along the way are really what take up the most amount of time. So if things just going straight up, straight up, straight up, I mean, I'm looking for a end of cycle time around October of next year. So to think that these things keep going up in a straight line ever since then, or up until then, just seems unfathomable at this point. I think it's going to need a cool down. But again,
yeah.
if we go back to the idea of the log scale charts, we would just measure these on the log scale. This is the XRP on the 1 week. This was the
Hmm.
setup that we had on the left side. It's the triangle breakout that we were looking for. Didn't really get a perfect retest. So if you had to kind of jump into the run as it was taking off, I'm just going to
Wow.
get rid of this part for a second.
Yeah. The train left the station, didn't wait for anybody on this one.
Right. Yeah. So we were looking
Mm,
for a break above the 0.618 here. Now it's local support that we could be retesting. We got a long wick already showing on the bottom. Try to
right.
zoom into this a little more. And then, yeah, so the linear scale says we could head up to about $3.83 for the measured move of this double bottom. But if we go to
Right.
a log scale, I'm actually just going to wipe this chart really quick.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
going to
do the
switch
log
it
scale.
over.
I really like to help people envision because it's very hard for people to comprehend exponential growth, right? Or what could happen in heated conditions. So,
Right.
um,
So we'll pull it up here with log scale turned on. Log scale is just this little button on the bottom right.
uh-huh.
And so the measured move here, if we do a double bottom measured move, that it's up to $38. I
Look
don't
at
know
that.
if that's realistic. I usually would aim for at least the 1.618 on a log scale
Right.
chart,
The
but
golden pocket, as they say, huh, for Bitcoin.
right. But
Hmm.
we've seen these things happen before where things hit astronomical numbers. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
max target that I could possibly see is $38 from here. But anything else than that just seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
a safe bet is aiming for the 1.618 around $12.
Wow. I mean, that's phenomenal. That's a phenomenal move for a coin as big as XRP. I know there's been a lot of speculation that retail is going to buy what's on, Robinhood and what's on Revolut, which we use a lot here in Europe, and XRP is one of those coins. So, yeah, I'd love to see ADA on the log scale too.
Yeah,
Because
I'm going to
I
check
believe
out.
this one is just getting started. I mean, Charles Hoskington just visited Senator Scott yesterday, and it looks like he's going to be on the advisory board, the crypto advisory board. So very,
Yeah,
very
it's
bullish.
interesting. There's a lot of interesting things happening in the space just because it seems like it's being welcomed with open arms now instead of
Right.
just being called this intranet fake money stuff, right? It's got a
Yeah.
real name for itself. So, just for the example, this is the log scale for ADA. Actually, I'm going to start with the linear scale first, just so you can see the difference. Try to adjust it here to get a good view. Okay, so we had basically this inverse head and shoulders. It's kind of on an angle. If you were
Right.
to measure from the top down to the bottom and use that as your measured move and pull this up to the top, this is how far it goes. Right? Even if you start over here on the right where the actual breakout was, it doesn't really do much difference. This is only at about 30 cents. So
Right.
now we're going to turn on the log scale and we're going to look at the same chart and we're going to measure the same way. So if you pulled from this high down to the bottom for the measured move,
Uh-huh.
and then measured this up to the top, you can see we're remarkably closer. So you would have
Right.
missed out on exponential gains if you were just using the linear scale chart. But if you turned on log scale, you would have caught, 80% of that move at least.
Right. Right. So now that we have the log scale up, let's project the same thing we did for XRP for Cardano this cycle.
Okay, this one, yeah, again, you're starting into crazy numbers here. And
Yeah.
I start to doubt it. Well, I don't know how long you can keep doing this log scale thing for. Like when you're a smaller coin, you do bigger jumps. So
Yeah.
as you get higher and higher in price, I don't know if those jumps are going to be the same. So we
Right.
might have to use the same idea before as XLM and use the 1.618 as our next target as being the max target. So that's $75 ADA.
Wow.
I don't
That's
know if it's
wild.
real, but yeah, this is just like repeating what we did before and what you would have missed out on. This could
Right.
be another one of those scenarios.
It could be. And maybe there's some kind of diminishing return element as it gets bigger, as you said, but still it reflects the potential for exponential growth.
Definitely. Like
Yeah.
people could even be calling these things. We'll go to a weekly chart, and some traders would just call this a bull flag,
Right. Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
bull flag
And this is
here.
why I like your charts, because you're able to conceptualize and visualize things a little bit differently. And it's not crystal ball. It's not that this is what's going to happen. It just can give us an idea of what's possible and how to formulate short-term entries and sell points, mid-term, long-term, and potentially exponential. Right.
Right. So yeah, we'll start on the total 3 1-week chart next.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we're looking for a break above this key resistance. I think in our last video we had talked about the cup and handle that we had forming here. So you had a big
Mm-hmm.
dip for your cup and you have a nice dip for your handle, and it's broken above that cup and handle resistance, that neckline. So
Right.
now we're testing the next resistance over above, and this is a pretty significant area. You've got some pretty big wicks and some rejections in this area, a lot of volume traded in this section. So we're going to use that as our next major resistance here. And as you can see, we've already hit that ceiling locally.
Right.
So at the best case scenario, if you can get a pullback down to this level for a retest, that would be the optimal place to start entering into altcoins for long-term holds again. Even for
Right.
some short-term trades, doesn't really matter. But this would be one of the biggest signals that I could see happening if you're looking for a reentry, if you were taking profits already. But if
Right.
you're just holding still, then basically your stop loss would be the equivalent on your chart of if this goes below the handle and closes below this level, you probably want to start closing your altcoin positions just in case.
Right.
But this is a pretty bullish pattern. I don't think it's going to fail at this point, plus all the news that's going on with crypto.
Right.
So
Yeah.
really, you're just looking for a break above this next resistance. And then that would be pretty much the next big leg that we'd see in the crypto space. And then for the real bullish move to kick off, I think it's breaking above the previous high from the last cycle. So that's at 1.13 trillion. Just for total 3. And for people that don't know what total 3 is, it's the entire crypto market cap. I think up to 125 coins minus Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the
So just
altcoin chart, pretty much.
yeah, it's basically the altcoin chart. It's the ones that make a difference in volume, anyways.
Right. So we can basically use this chart to determine when altcoin season, which is what everybody wants to know, right? When is that banana zone going to happen? And that also kind of can be contingent on the Bitcoin dominance and what Bitcoin's going to do in the interim here. But so would it be safe to say that the banana zone then happens after it breaks last cycle's all-time high?
Potentially, like you're looking
Mhm.
over here for the same idea on the last
Uh-huh.
cycle before that preceded that one. So if we just draw another horizontal line here, you can see we kind of got the same thing happening, right? So you got that big move. That's this big move. I'm going to get rid of this line or just the wording. There we go. So you can see this a little better. And so this first pullback may be the same as this first pullback here. So you've already got this already gigantic move coming, and it was kind of blended into this one. This was more of a rounded bottom that led up to the move. This one,
Right.
you had it broken up into two parts. But if you took out this middle section and put this chunk on top of this chunk, you're
Uh-huh.
pretty much right about here. So the banana zone, in my opinion, has already started, and this is just one of the first significant pullbacks that we've
Right.
seen in this run so far.
So I know there are a lot of people that are sidelined that are waiting for an entry and thought maybe they weren't going to get it. This could be that time. Very well could be that time where, they get in before this thing takes off in a big way. Can we get any idea of timing as to when it happened last cycle and where we're at now?
How do you mean? Sorry?
Like if we check out when the altcoins started to kind of really go parabolic last season, at what point in the cycle? Like was it February, December? I know you and I have discussed a lot of dates.
Oh, as far as a date, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, it's pretty much the same. Like we're getting basically January to February, leading into March. I think
right,
March was actually the opposite. Most people expect March to be a pullback month, but this is
right.
when the next rally started after that initial pullback
Right.
already
It looks
happened.
like we're a little bit ahead of schedule this cycle,
Yeah,
slightly.
we could be. Again, it's
Mhm.
kind of hard because this was more of a rounded shape and this has been broken up into two chunks. So
Right.
there's always a little difference between every cycle. Once you have another cycle that follows, then we'll have more ideas to back up those ideas, right?
Absolutely.
So we'll have to see
Cool.
how that
So,
goes.
yeah, we'll have to look at this. And just for context, I mean, this is just total three, but a lot of analysts predict that this cycle we could get anywhere from like 10 to 15 trillion total market cap overall, which is just a massive move from here. And it's very hard to comprehend. So even though people who may be feeling like they're sidelined or may have been feeling like they missed out entirely, according to these charts, we could be just getting started in that parabolic phase.
Definitely. I mean, we could be going through one of these movements, right? So this move alone in the beginning. Now, keep in mind, this is when the market caps were smaller. So this growth wasn't really that much money, but the
Mhm.
growth alone was 2,799%. We go to the next one from the bottom. This would be the COVID low. And you got another, this is actually bigger, 3,900%. So
Wow.
if this is the same thing that's happening, if we're aiming from the lows, you could say up to even 25, we'll
Wow.
estimate. It's kind of like a midway between them both.
And
So
that's
that
looking like
puts
an
us
almost $7.5 trillion altcoin market cap. Wow.
right. And I think this could be the year of adoption, honestly, now that it's so welcomed. I
Yeah.
think I posted a couple things in the group today that there was more countries that are unbanning Bitcoin and more of them setting up a Bitcoin reserve.
Wow. So yeah, you've got China coming out and say they unbanned it. I know Morocco just came out and said it's officially, legal. It's not banned. It was kind of a weird status in Morocco, but you heard something more about Morocco?
Yeah, I just saw a post today. They were saying that they unbanned crypto and it's fully legal
Wow.
in
Yeah.
Morocco now. So we're just getting all these different kinds of news. It's really hard to say where a ceiling could be when you have this much momentum behind it on the
Right.
fundamental level.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I thought maybe this kind of adoption would happen more toward the next cycle, but it looks like because of the administration coming in and, you've got President Bukele, Nayib Bukele from El Salvador renting out volcanoes to mine Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. All right. So let's move along here on the charts and see some other wins. Oh, wow. Look at
Uh,
Stewie.
yeah, this isn't really a win that was
Mhm.
recent. This was a setup that we had for Sui down here.
Mhm.
Uh, it was way back in actually August is when this started. So we had a
Right.
little bull flag in the group posted here. And this is all it took was just this little flag to get this whole party started.
Wow.
These fibs have been working really well. So we're even right now, we're currently retesting the 1.618 fib extension. And the target was at the 2.0, which was almost perfect, a couple of wicks,
Wow.
but close enough.
Yeah.
So APT is setting up for the same scenario. You got that
Right.
same double bottom, and then
APTOS. Yeah, we
SSV.
just got into that trade as well. I think it's going to do very well this cycle. So it's also the similar narrative of the layer ones. So it's not only looking similar on the chart, but it's also in the same category, which is interesting.
Right, yeah. So
Mhm.
the entry, if you haven't entered Aptos yet, you're just looking for a clean break and maybe a retest of the 0.618 fib level here.
Which is what price point for those who can't see that?
Oh, sorry, that's for $12.87.
Okay.
So be flexible. Basically, say between $12 and $13 is the area you need to break.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you could see some more pullback. If you get a nice flag that forms here, that's another idea to jump into as well. You don't always just have to buy the next break. You can focus on buying the pullbacks.
Right, which is even a better strategy for those who are getting a little bit more advanced in it and not new to trading. Buying the bottoms, buying the pullbacks, buying support, retests, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Breakout trading is the easiest place to start because it makes the most sense, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But after a while, yeah, you start learning to scale in, so you don't put all of your money into one trade in one place, right? So
Right,
you learn that after you've seen the charts move around for a while, you realize that hey, I don't have to do it all here. I can wait a week and buy a little bit on the dips along the way. Maybe it'll take you a month to get into the trade, but you're just dollar cost averaging into the uptrend and you're just
right,
buying the pullbacks in an uptrend. It's really the best place to buy if you're not buying a breakout.
right. And that's, it requires some patience and some discipline, but
Yeah.
it's been a very successful strategy for you, I know as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, exactly. I do with my leverage trading. So sometimes I'll open the trade with that base amount of money. It might be like $500 to start with. And then really I'm just monitoring that trade over time and I don't have high leverage. Might not even be a leverage trade yet, but it's opened in a futures position. And
Hmm.
most exchanges will allow you to change the amount of margin that you have in that trade. So you
Okay.
can put a certain amount in, add a little bit of margin as your cushion, and then your plan is just to scale in just like any normal spot trade. But you're doing
Right.
the same thing with leverage. And then when it gets close to your breakout levels, that's when you start going bigger and a little bigger. So you buy the breakout, and after you got a confirmed retest, you add again. And then if the 200 MA on the daily breaks, that's another place to enter. So I've been actually really successful with this, and you can get some gigantic positions in the market without feeling like there's too much stress on your shoulders. And I think most of the problem for traders is they put too much money into a trade, they put their stop loss way too close, and then they're paranoid. And it's like,
Right.
man, you set yourself up for this, and now you got to deal with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
You've got to allow
put
room
yourself
to
in that
breathe,
position.
room to fluctuate, and that hence the dollar cost averaging in.
Yeah, exactly. So
Hmm.
by scaling into the trade, it puts you more in control instead of feeling like a victim to the. Okay, so on these other charts that we're looking at, we have Aptos is one on the left. We're looking for a break above the 0.618 for that entry. SUI is just showing us what is possible with these same setups. So
Hmm.
then SSV is also following, but it's further behind than Aptos. So it's almost like you have this is what happens in the beginning, this is what happens in the middle, and this is what you're aiming for at the end. So you
Right.
have really nice entries for all three of these coming up right now. Or sorry, for both of these, SSV and Aptos. So
And
the one I would be
SSB, we're
focused on.
looking at just from eyeballing it, looks like a 4x gain, the measured move or the top of the measured move.
Yeah, we can measure that really quick.
Yeah.
It's a decent move because you're buying closer to the bottom.
Right.
So up
Exactly.
to here, yeah, 350%. And that's at about $116.41 for SSV. For
Wow.
Aptos over here, we're looking at a measured move of $31 from $11. So about 3x and yeah, about 352% for SSV.
Now let's go. Amazing.
So the next one, this is an update to the theta chart that we were looking at.
All right, Theta, all you Theta gang out there, I know you're going to love this. We started looking at Theta obviously in the group because, the chart is starting to wake up, but I'm a huge holder and, I've been since a long while back, and it's fun to see that it's just now starting to make moves. So we thought we would post this chart for all you Theta gang out there. There's a lot of things going on as far as news as well right now. New AI partners, a lot of movement there. So it's a good timing in the market for Theta.
Yeah, definitely. So we were looking at the break above the 1-day 200 MA, and that's the orange line here that I've just added in, just to give
Hmm.
you an idea of where we are from the smaller term time frame and the bigger term time frame on the weekly. So if you were
Right.
able to get in on the break of the 200 MA on the daily, you're already in profit. And then if you haven't got in yet, you're looking for maybe a retest if that happens. The next confirmation level that I've been looking at though is the 1 week 200 MA, and that's at about $2.79. So there's a bit of a gap from $2 at the current price to
Hmm.
279. So you might miss a bit of the move if you wait, but
Right.
you also might not take much of a risk if you get a pullback instead of entering now. So
Hmm.
the long-term chart that we're looking at again, now that this is already broken out, this was basically a cup and handle. And we're looking for a break above the 0.272 as
Hmm.
our cup and handle neckline. That's at about $3.92 or $4. You could round that off to. And the measured move for theta on the weekly, we're looking at about $25. So easily a 10x gain from here and then
Wow.
some.
And then
Yeah,
some. I absolutely believe it could definitely be an and then some situation. But this is just what the chart is showing, for now, the long term. But things get heated and new partnerships get announced and stuff takes off. It runs away for sure. So $25 theta, not bad. Not bad at all.
right. Theta's been around for a while. People are aware of it. It's already got a name.
Right.
It's almost like a household brand in crypto. It's like, oh yeah, Theta. I know Theta. So
Yeah. Yeah. And they've
everybody
got
knows.
big partnerships like with Sony and Samsung. I mean, there's talk that it's going to be in like every TV and every household. You can, yeah, there's so many things you can do. I did a Theta video just for all you Theta lovers out there, but this is to show you a chart about what's possible based on TA and technical analysis. But there's already also so many bullish factors to pair with that. So,
Yeah, definitely. Theta is one to watch for sure. If you do get that pullback, I would probably jump into that as my biggest part of my position. Again,
mhm.
it's going to matter what Bitcoin's doing at the same time. So always keep that in mind. The charts are
Right.
always changing. Bitcoin could throw us a curveball. We don't know. But as far as looking for entry, that would be one of the safer ones that I can see from here.
All
The
right.
next chart that I've turned over to is SEI. So
All
this
right.
is very similar to the SSV comparison with Aptos and SUI.
Hmm.
So we'll go back to the SEI. So you got the same kind of double bottom structure, but this has a good entry coming right up right now. So we're looking for a break above the 0.5 fib level. We recently got rejected there. We had a pullback. So in the group a few days ago, I was talking about watching for a pullback for entry. And we
Hmm.
got this red candle that pulled back, just nicked this little support level. So if you're able to grab some then, congratulations, you're already in profit again. That's what again why these retests are the best place to buy, because you're buying the bounce before the
Right.
next move.
Right.
Lowest risk and the most profit potential. So we're looking for a break of the 0.5 fib level next. And same thing, we're looking for this double bottom measured move. That could be as high as $2.08 for SEI on this run, and that's just up to the 2.0.
Right.
And don't forget, this is one of the smaller coins comparatively, which is
True.
similar to what ADA was in the
Yes.
beginning. Right.
Okay, there you go. This could be the next ADA type run. But say also coincidentally, the Say blockchain. I did an interview with some founders that are building on Say, and they say it's a phenomenal layer one as well. So it's also a layer one like Aptos, like Sui, and it's just kind of fitting into this narrative of layer ones are pumping, right? Like, and this could be the next potential one to follow in Sui's footsteps.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you were
Mhm.
looking to open 4 different positions, you could split up your amount into quarters, and then you could trade them each. And then
Yeah,
once one takes off, take your profit out and look for the one that hasn't moved yet. So the way to
absolutely.
make the most amount of money in crypto isn't just hodling till the moon. You want to be able to flip your profits mid bull run or early bull run into the next coin that's going to do the same thing.
Right.
So you could have done it with XRP and XLM, right? XRP started moving first, could have taken your profits quickly, thrown it into XLM, and then done a 3 or 4x after that. And make it sound easy, but
Yeah, no, I mean it is. It's going for the
this is the goal.
undervalued, same type of category, same looking chart type coins. Yeah. There's no need to
Definitely.
overcomplicate in a bull run, I think is a good way to put it.
Definitely. There's whether you like a coin or not does not dictate how many other people like the coin that you don't like. There's always
Right.
going to be a fan of something else, right? Even if you don't like it, it's still probably going to go up because there's probably another million people that are watching it that
Exactly.
care
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. And one thing I do is I'll have like my long term, I'm just bought it, throughout the bear market or the beginning of the bull market, let it sit. And then also have a trading portfolio where I do go more in and out. So it works for any strategy, really.
Yeah, definitely. Just, you see things happening more than once, start paying attention. You can usually get the next ride early if you catch on to it soon enough.
Oh, yeah.
So the next one here, this is the Bitcoin dominance 3-day chart. I was trying to measure the cycles here, and then I decided I was going to put the halving dates on this chart and see what we could get once that was added to the charts. Excuse me. So 240 days after the halving, the one back in 2016, that's when we saw this mega alt season, this huge pullback on dominance.
Right.
And then again, after the halving in 2020 in May, 240 days after the halving, you had another huge pullback. So again, just like we were talking about, if you've seen something happen a few times, pay attention. You might be able to get another run out of something or another repeating factor. So again, here we are. We've been waiting for dominance to pull back. It's been this gigantic, long-term, painful uptrend for altcoins. We've just been waiting for altcoins to take off, and it's just like dominance isn't giving up anything. So here we might actually have one of the first clues of when alt season actually starts. So I'm going to be watching for this 240-day mark, which will end on December 17th, 2024. And potentially that could be when the next alt season kicks off.
Okay, so that December time that we were talking about, there it is again. I remember last December how it started going up in the bull market. Things started to get heated, and it's looking like the chart is rhyming a little bit, right?
Yeah, people talked about the Santa rallies, that was a common phrase.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so we're coming up to December, maybe the start of the altcoin season. For those who are on the sidelines, you don't want to wait. You don't want to miss out. You should definitely think about joining the group if you want to learn how to trade, if you want to learn how to, buy the bottom of these patterns like we're talking about and just not be left behind, because you only get so many opportunities like this. So I think it's really cool to see these charts that kind of map it out time-wise as to like helping us get an idea.
Yeah, definitely. The timing has changed a lot for me. There's been so many times where I've been watching the charts for Bitcoin, and now it's starting to get weird. I'm just like, oh, it's too soon. Like, it's too soon for a move. Like, I'm almost like, no, don't move yet. It's not time yet.
Right.
It's a strange shift in your mentality. But when you see these cycles constantly play out, I think for sure that the biggest whales in the game, they're measuring something that most retail traders are not, and that's time. Retail traders are watching the up and down movements, right? Going from 40K to 80K and back down and up, whatever. They're not measuring how long it took from one phase to the next phase to the next phase.
That's the alpha right there, Trip. That's the alpha.
Well, yeah, it's the growth of a trader. I think people should realize the chart moves 3 directions, up, down, and to the right. So if you're not measuring the to the right section,
you're missing out.
There's so much data. Yeah, there's a lot of data being missed.
Okay. So we got the Bitcoin 2-day here.
Yeah, the Bitcoin 2-day chart. So this was the yellow trend line I've drawn. I've seen a lot of people draw this, and I was kind of like hesitant. I didn't really think it was a big deal, but now we can see that we broke above it and we're retesting it. Let's zoom in to see how actually perfect this is so far. I mean, I can't argue with this. So now I'm kind of on board with this big yellow trend line. You got the 1.618 fib extension also right below it.
There it is.
So if we get the pullback even further, it might just get a wick down to here, and then it might hold this trend line again. Otherwise, this is kind of my line in the sand for the moment. And this could be for the next couple of weeks to see how we do if we test these levels. If we start poking down and getting below it, I might be a little worried, but it really just means you're probably going to get a deeper pullback. If this is the local top, I would just use the same tools, but as a pullback tool. So I use my fibs, and I'm going to turn on just the 0.5 here. The 0.5. So the 0.5 pullback, maybe I'll make this a little bigger, just so it's a little more exaggerated. There you go. So the 0.5, that comes down to about 76,600. And that would be a normal pullback for an impulse move. You get the wave up.
Right. I mean, we've been straight up down for a very long time now. So
yeah, it wouldn't be unfathomable to think that we get a falling wedge or something that eventually leads down to this 0.5 level. And again, this is the backup scenario if these two ideas here don't hold for this retest.
Right. And that bottom of that golden pocket 1.618 is 88,000, right?
Yeah, 88,009, so 89,000 you could say, pretty
Okay.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I'd be looking for the next fib level up was at 104,972, and the 2.618 above 618 above that is at 113,463. So we're really just taking it level by level.
Right.
Most people are watching 100K as their major resistance, but are people really thinking about what's after that if it breaks?
Right.
So if that happens, these would be your next levels that I would be focusing on after that.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So now we have an idea of what could be happening in the near term for Bitcoin.
Right. There's some variables here. We still need to see a little more confirmation for one or the other. But if we get a solid retest, then yeah, you're going to be looking for moves beyond 100K. I don't think the price
Let's
stops there.
go. Michael Saylor's doing a 100K Bitcoin New Year's Eve party. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so the last one, maybe not the last one. Well, the last one for Bitcoin that I wanted to cover. This is just, I really want to show this idea to everybody who's learning about trading and they don't know how to get started, but what's going to be the most valuable. So this is a divergence chart, and then I've also got the RSI at the same time. So the RSI is your band on the bottom, and
Your
then
momentum.
price out. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the bottom part here is your RSI with the yellow lines and the purple background.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these flags that you have above the price action, these are divergences. So the red ones are bearish divergences. A bearish divergence is your clue that the trend is trying to change direction. It
Right.
means like essentially the bears are taking over. So you got a divergence that's bearish. You get these lines on the bottom or these green flags along the bottom. That means the bulls are showing up and they're trying to show bullish strength. So when you
Right.
see more bullish than bearish, you're looking for reversals on the bottom for the green ones. And you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for reversals on the top for the red ones. So we had a series of these red ones along the top, and that's when the price started to roll over. Now, this is just a 1 hour chart for Bitcoin. So these are really small swings that are really quick, maybe a day apart each in this
Right.
area. So if we see a lot of bullish divergences start popping up, we could see a reversal of the trend here.
Okay. And
So
do you look to mainly like what time frames do you look at to kind of get a better idea of when it's actually going to start reversing potentially?
all of them. That's the
Mhm.
secret is you don't just take one for its face value. You see how they melt into the next time frame up. So
Okay.
what I usually look for is oversold conditions. So the 1
Mhm.
hour has already hit oversold twice at this level. The
Right.
2 hour is still kind of mingling around this oversold area. The 3 hour is still there. The 4 hour is almost there. Now you get to the 6 hour, we're not quite there yet. So it kind of gives you an idea like maybe we hit oversold levels as well, and there's a little bit more downside to go. And that
Right.
would give us an idea back to the Bitcoin chart here, where we're looking for maybe a push lower to the 1.618. That could
Mhm.
be that little bit more of a push into those oversold territories. So if we look at the 12 hour here, we also have a trend line forming on the RSI. So previously we had some decent bounces in the market after you got these touches. So if we line it up a little better here, this first bounce on the RSI trend line, that was the first bounce we got. And then the
Mhm.
second bounce, you got another bounce. And then another bounce here was a pretty extended move up for Bitcoin. And now we're just about to test that same RSI trend line again. So this will be another make or break it point for me, at least
Mhm.
in the short term. If we get another bounce on this trend line, I would expect another move. It might even be comparable in size to this one here that we had previously.
Wow. So this is the secret sauce, huh, Trip?
Yeah, I think so. It's when you look at multi-time frame confluence is probably the most sniperish way you could look at the market because you're not focused on one idea. You're looking at all ideas and how they work together.
Right. And anybody could put this up and chart this out, but us in the trading group who are following your ideas, you're pretty much just doing it for us and keeping us up to date. So huge value add there for sure.
Definitely. Well, I break it down for you. So if I think that there's a lack of strength on the higher time frames, then it's definitely going to carry over into the smaller time frames, as an
Right.
example. So
Yeah.
there will be times in the group where I just don't post setups because I'm not too sure, because I'm still waiting for more information. And it's usually because I'm watching these charts to see, are we going to get a macro pullback or is it going to be a micro pullback?
Right. So to be determined based on how we interact with that $88,000 golden pocket for Bitcoin there.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Now, another chart that we can look at too, this is total 3 compared to Bitcoin. So it's total 3 / BTC. And this is the 3-day log scale chart as well. I've been drawing this falling wedge and waiting for something to happen. And finally, we just got this break above this trend line of this falling wedge. So when you're looking at alt season should mean that altcoins are not just outpacing the dollar or going up in dollar value, I should say. You want to see them outperforming Bitcoin. Otherwise, just hold Bitcoin. Right? It could be really easy. Just hold Bitcoin the whole time. But we're not in crypto just to trade Bitcoin. We want more Bitcoin. Correct. So if you were to cash out at the end of the market, you can cash out in dollars or you can cash out in Bitcoin. If that's your goal, is just to accumulate more Bitcoin, then you want to look at charts that are outperforming Bitcoin in like this scenario.
So this is the total 3, which is the altcoins minus Bitcoin and Ethereum versus Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So this basically is just telling us where the strength is. So we're seeing a big difference. So the dominance chart that we talked about with the December 17th date kind of coincides with what's happening here on the total 2 chart, or sorry, the total 3 chart versus Bitcoin. If this keeps trending higher, then we're going to have that December 17th alt season date.
All right. You got the date, December 17th, altcoin season, banana zone. Better be ready for it. Better be ready.
Right. The last one we're going to talk about was POGs. If you want to talk about that and describe what that is.
Oh, yeah. So POGs is one of the ones that I told Trip, we've got to get this chart up. What a community. So I don't know if you guys remember, maybe I'm a little bit older than you watching, but in my age brackets, I'm 38 and we played with POGs when we were little. It's this small cardboard collectibles that you would flip and play on the playground with other kids, and you'd try to win more POGs by slamming your slammer. And it was just a huge cultural phenomenon. 40 billion POGs were sold in over 10 countries. It was definitely really popular in the US and people loved it. And now those kids that played with those POGs are adult age and they've got money to put into the market. So my whole thesis and hypothesis here is, you got Murad talking about meme coins and all of these things. But I mean, imagine when these people my age come in, they remember this. I know you do remember it as well, Trip, because you told me about it. And they see that you can buy POGs, you can play in an arcade, you can virtually flip them. I mean, it's the ultimate meme coin with utility that's also a gaming coin. And so I know the founder, I've been working with him and helping do some advisory stuff for them. We've traveled to a couple conventions together, Dubai, as well as New York. And he is so dedicated, such a brilliant founder, and a lot of big news coming out. In fact, we're going to do an AMA this week. So you can look forward to that. And we're posting the chart for you now. So you get the news, well, second, because we posted it first in the group. But yeah, now you can take it from here, Trip.
Yeah, no worries. So based on that idea, I kind of like the idea of POGs coming back and being that retro comeback kind of idea. Yeah. And especially it's like a physical NFT. Not to be confused with an RWA necessarily, but all the characters in the meme space could be their own POG. I mean, you could show off your POG collection like you're showing off an NFT collection. Yeah. I mean, it really is a fascinating idea and I'm kind of into it. I think it's neat. Yeah. So if you're looking at the charts, let's just get rid of this picture for a sec. We are looking at a really nice accumulation entry on this support range. So let's measure how much time we've been down here so far. Basically from here till about here, it's been about 66 days of accumulation. I think that's good enough right now where you can think that this is a good place to start buying in anticipation for the next move up. And if we get anywhere close to the all-time high from here, we'll give that a measure as well. So from about 0.0028 cents, you'd be looking at maybe a 1,622% move to the previous high. So that would be at about 0.05 cents essentially.
Right. I mean, that's massive. And that was, so it was 5 cents when it was being traded on THETA swap. So there weren't many places to get it. Now it's on MEXC currently and, working on other news. So there's going to be a lot of news coming out for POG. We're going to discuss that with the founder today. And I'm just really bullish on nostalgia and on 90s comebacks. I know LimeWire is back in the game as well. They were also New York. So it's just a very interesting play in my opinion. And yeah, it's going to be fun to follow this for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm hooked on this. Megan introduced it to me and I was kind of curious. So I'm like, oh yeah, I used to have those. I was actually the only kid in town who had them because my dad worked at a video store and he was all about getting all the new stuff for the kids as soon as they came out. He was the trendy guy, right? So the Nintendo
he must be. He must be. He's on POG.
Exactly. So like
Yeah.
Nintendo came out and we had it the day that it was released. We had a PlayStation before anybody knew what a PlayStation was. So
Wow.
yeah, it's really funny to think, hey, these are actually coming back. This is a thing.
Oh,
So
for sure. They've done like Barbie, Coca-Cola, so many big partnerships. And their community flew out from the US to London to do a supercar run with some partners of ours called the Cannon Run. And they wrapped a McLaren in POG. So, I mean, these guys are what Murad talks about, like cult following. I think we've got a cult following here for POG for sure.
that we have one more chart. This is another gem pick for an AI coin that I have to
All
share.
right, gem pick, let's go. Marsh. Oh, I remember this from last cycle.
Yeah, Marsh has been pretty good. If you were able to catch these swings, I think each one has been pretty decent just from the swings alone. So that's a 400% move.
Wow.
This one over here, if you include the bottom, then there's another 560% move. And now we're looking for, essentially, this could be a big triple bottom. So a triple bottom, we could extend these prices and they go way up here. I haven't got them marked down on the chart just because they seem they don't really fit. Like,
Wow.
I would be looking at about here, which is around $1.80. So from being at 7 cents to $1.80, I mean, that's magnificent. That's quite a
That's a
trade.
big move right there.
Yeah, I've already been scaling in. So I bought some back here. I didn't sell during any of this. I actually wasn't really paying attention to it. It was just a small position.
And it
I didn't
happens
really
fast
know
for
what
these kind
Marsh
of
was.
gem picks. They pump fast, and then if you're not paying attention, you will miss it a lot of times.
Right.
So
Yeah. I was just watching something else. And then
right.
before you notice, right, you see the alert going off. It's at this level. By the time you go check it, it's already sold off about 30% of the move.
Right.
So it happens. I'm not really too concerned. I'm looking at the big move and I'm just trying
That's
to
what we want. We want
accumulate.
those massive parabolic gains, and these are what the gem picks are for. Those are gem picks.
Definitely.
Smaller part of the portfolio.
Yeah. It's work smarter, not harder. So
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Pick the
I
bags
would
of cash
rather
up
just
instead of the pennies. Yeah, I got it.
exactly. So
Very
if you
cool.
can get a support entry down here, if it does come down to test the support, that would be an awesome entry if it happens. But otherwise, yeah, just like most of the coins that have been taking off into straight vertical movement, it's been the break of the 1-day 200 MA. So that's right here below or above the price action currently. So those are your two entries. Yeah, those would be the two entries to focus on for Marsh.
Oh, wow. I mean, there's been so much value in this episode. If you guys like that, hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends, and also head over to Capital Mindset YouTube. I'm normally doing my daily updates about certain coins, but they are also doing weekly updates. There are some of the analysts, very, very smart analysts from the group on charts like this, so you can get in as well. And yeah, thanks, Trip, for just sharing all the alpha with us today. This was a very, very helpful episode. I know people are going to be able to get a lot of value from this.
Yeah, and it's really amazing how time flies. So we covered a lot of stuff today.
We did.
But yeah, this is a lot of good information. So really happy to share with everybody.
Yeah, I'm so excited for even more announcements to bring more value to the group now that I've become part of it. I'm so excited. We got so many cool things ahead and we're just getting started. So yeah, thanks so much, Trip, for being here today. And I can't wait for the next one.
No worries. Thanks for having me again. Take care.
Bye.